Alright, you guys, so we're back at it again. So, a little more update about my truck radio. I didn't really finish the project. So, I decided to go to the junkyard and find the original harness to the truck. And I found it. This one's all got snipped up and everything. So, I did find another one that was the exact same one, which was the Dodge Dakota, but they were different color wires. So, what I'm going to use is use this as my real one and follow the color coded on these and match it to my truck, exact color coded to the other wires, so it won't be as complicated. But as I was, having an issue with my truck, I was looking at for this red wire right here, but on the opposite end of the wire. Turns out this harness doesn't even have a red wire, or it's called a remote switch, or an accessory switch is what's supposed to turn on the radio. So I'm a little curious and interested to see how this really runs and work without the wire. Now, the best way to ever changing any radio from your car stereo is never ever snipping your wires off. Just simply buy the harness specifically made for your car. So all you have to do is follow the color coded. So this is to the radio, and that is to the harness that will connect to your car. And simply you just color code the exact same color. So don't make it complicated. If you're ever changing out your radio, do not snip it. It only costs you $10 for the harness. Don't go cheap on yourself now. Alright, you guys, so this is the harness that goes toward the car, and that's the harness that goes into the radio. Now, you're supposed to usually get a clip that connects it, but at some point I'm kind of a little cheap, but at the same time, if you do it right, you won't have to worry about tugging it and then end up ripping in the middle. So what I did was I individually taped each one of them, slowly wrap them around. Then to give a double secure, I wrapped it with the whole entire wire, so when you're tugging it, you're not tugging specifically that wire, you're using the whole joint, so it'll be more stronger and sturdier, and it wouldn't pull anymore. Alright, so now toward my truck. Okay, so when I went to the junkyard, I did a little homework to reassess of what wire was going where, because there's a couple other wires with snipped too. So I found out these wires right here, there goes to the cigarette lighter, which is this, and it turns out it's powered by its own separate cord, which was snipped here. So one of them goes here, and there's another one goes here, and then this is just all separate radio, which I have concluded, but I was confused why he did what he did. So he basically hijacked the fucking wires and did it his own style. Alright, there you go. So the original harness is back onto the car, so now we don't have to mess with this anymore. Now my next work is to work on the cigarette lighters on both sides to get that running again. Okay, so I'm finally finished with the cigarette lighter. Now, of course, what I did again, I made sure that when I taped these singly, I taped these two wires together, and then just in case, I taped it with the whole entire slot so that I won't be tugging and pulling onto that connections. Same as to this one, so that I won't be pulling or tugging into the connection. The connection's like back there, so I got plenty of spot so it won't be tugging and pulling. So as you see here, I plugged it all in, and I don't know if this will 100% work because of this red wire right here, specifically because when you follow this red wire, there's no red wire leading out to it, and that's supposed to be your excessive 12 volt, your switch that's supposed to turn on the radio. So we're about to find out. So let me go plug my battery back in, because before you work with any wires, you should always have your battery unplugged so you don't blow a fuse. Alright, just as I concluded, it doesn't even turn on while you have it on the accessory switch, which this is what it's called, the accessory switch, where when you turn it on, it should be able to power it on. Even when the car's running, it's not turning on as well. So obviously that's telling me it has to do with the recessive access wire. That red wire is supposed to turn it on. So I'm going to configure something. I figured something out. I'm going to see if this will work and see if that will allow me to bypass it, and maybe it'll work. Alright, so I figured out how to bypass that red wire, since this doesn't have a red wire into it, or accessory switch, which accessory switch is when you put in your key, turn it on without turning your car all the way on, but it turns on the car. So that means there's a kill switch somewhere where it allows the car to have power, and there is a wire that is constantly on where it's connected directly to the battery, so it's always on, which is not good for the radio, which is always be on, it'll just drain your battery. So here it goes. There it goes, and it is working. Now, of course, there's no station right now because the fact that I didn't have my antenna plugged in, but this is just a test run. Alright, so there it goes. So what I did was I added another wire into one of these, recessive wire. Basically, when you turn on the car, it gives it power, so it'll be able to send a signal to the radio so it turns on. This red, like I said, this red wire didn't lead to nothing, so that's absolutely nothing now. Alright, there it is, you guys. Completely finished. So let's go one more test. Turn it on excessively. There we go. The radio's working. And then let's see if the radio will turn off. So this is what I was having an issue because someone idiot hooked up the radio wrong, and let's see if it turns off now. Now I do know that it does take a little while for the power to turn off, which is okay. It's just meaning that there's just some excess like electron just going through, travel through the wire, and it's taking its time to turn off. So let's see if it turns off. It should turn off now. There we go.